This is something I've seen in my security practices as well as dealing with and helping parents in many different situations. And the topic today is normalcy bias versus paranoia. And as a parent, where do you fall in this? It's a question for you right now. There are two ditches that parents fall into. Normalcy bias, this thing or those things could never happen here, having your head in the sand. Contrasted with paranoia, danger is everywhere. I have to control everything. Anxious parenthood 101. Neither extreme works. A biblical protector's posture is somewhere in the middle. Calm, clear, and courageous. Standing for your children, growing them into confident and capable adults like you are. So what is normalcy bias truly? It's a refusal to recognize a threat because it feels unlikely, and more often because it is an uncomfortable topic for you, mom or dad. You don't like to think about those things because you do not like to allow that concept or paradigm into your mind, as in these things could happen to not just people you know, but people you personally love and are in charge of, your own children. And I understand that as a dad. I hate thinking of things that could potentially happen to my kids. Okay. On one end, I get it. That's normalcy bias. Things are fine, everything's well. These things have never happened here before. So real world examples of normalcy bias follow. Moms and dads, parents, just like you and I, ignoring red flags that are almost always there and present in my experience. Because coach such and such is safe. Oh, our youth group at church, those things don't happen within that. Yeah, that was weird when such and such hugged my kid or was spending time around just the girls, but they would never do anything like that. That's clearly ignoring some very clear red flags there. Also, families that say, I trust my kids. They're too smart to fall into those things in Roblox or TikTok or whatever platform that they're currently on, right? All of our kids are smart. I get that. Some kids are truly smart and wise beyond their years at an early age. But what they don't have, or the wisdom is of experience that the Bible clearly talks about imparting to our children. And funny, God actually addresses this in different areas, but Proverbs 27:12, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going in the way that they're going and pay the due penalty. That's kind of profound. It's a simple but true statement, and it puts things in our place. I'm not trying to be mean to parents, but there are some people by choice, by their own volition, choose the simplicity side. And a very wise man once said, children can afford to be innocent and simple in their thinking because they have that innocence of youth. A grown adult cannot afford that kind of innocence anymore in their life. And it's not that I want people to carry these heavy loads of these thought processes, but we're doing ourselves and our families a disservice if we avoid these things to the point of potentially someday our own hurt. Normalcy bias turns into passivity and leaving doors open. That's just unwise in the current world we live in. Again, I've said this before. I'm a kid of the 80s. I'm a Gen Xer. Our lives were fundamentally different than children's lives today. Whether right or wrong, good or bad, that is simply a fact of the time that we currently exist in. And we cannot ignore what is clearly before us. On the other side is helicopter parenting and paranoia, fear-driven overreaction. I said earlier when we started this, both sides are probably bad. What is paranoia? Paranoia is hypervigilance rooted in anxiety, which completely defines exactly what a helicopter parent is. A helicopter parent is not a discerning, engaged, and present parent. A helicopter parent is a parent that is anxious and allows their fear to control everything that they do to their and their child's hurt. Paranoia is not rooted in either readiness or clarity. Examples of paranoia and helicopter parenting: a parent checking every single text, restricting every move to the point that the child ultimately begins to and runs with hiding their own behavior. Have I seen this so many times in the families that I've both protected and the families that have hired me in my investigation days to go find out what happened to their son and their daughter. Every single time without fail, this is a core issue of why a child separated themselves from the family and left. It's tragic, but true. And a result of helicopter parenting, the child feels controlled and not trusted, and resentment builds up. They understand that you as a parent absolutely don't trust them. You don't trust the world. Heck, you don't trust anything. Therefore, the world they're in becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and begins crushing them. Now, take that to the logical extreme. What kind of adult is that child going to turn into? Are they able to and capable of dealing with concerns and conflicts in a healthy, responsible, clear-headed manner? Or are you setting them up for a life of fear and ultimately failure? So, as a result, fear does not build trust, it fractures trust, sometimes to the point of being irreparable. Protection does not equal hyper control. You want to be an involved parent, not a critical, controlling parent. Helicopter parenting is anxious micromanagement, right? On the other side is being a protector, being present and involved with your leadership and building children that, yes, have discernment and can trust. How do they get there? Because you model it for them and you teach them well. Biblical definitions for biblical things is where I always hang my hat. And 1 Peter 5 talks about, says, be sober-minded and be watchful, okay? That's a distinction. Being watchful doesn't mean be paranoid. The sober-minded part clarifies that for us. Is every single threat, catastrophic and life-threatening? No. Is everything we see a potential danger? No, it's not. Sometimes a person is just a person, and you have to raise your children with the tools to engage with humanity well, to have conversations, to encounter odd or different people and survive that encounter and walk away still the same kid, still the same person that's growing into an adult, which that's the end point of why we're raising them, correct? And again, using scripture, God himself uses the shepherd analogy for us over and over again repeatedly. And I think that's actually profound and important, because what is a shepherd? Is he running around all the time like screaming his head off, pointing at every shadow and every movement? No, the sheep would be freaked out and they wouldn't trust the shepherd and they would run away. I would too. So would you. No, the picture of a shepherd is somebody who's calm and ready, rod and staff in hand. A staff is to move the sheep and corral them and get them in the direction that they need to be going. The rod is to not beat the sheep, but to protect them, to wail upon a wolf when it presents itself, or a human with nefarious intent who want to have that sheep for dinner, right? It's not a shepherd's job. It's not to allow the sheep to be harmed. It's to protect the sheep and allow the sheep to embody their sheepness, right? Using a Joel Salatin phraseology here. The sheepness of the sheep must be encouraged, because you don't want weird sheep. You don't want weird children, and you surely don't want any more weird adults, because the world is full of those already. So moms and dads talking to you, what should a parent's role be? Well, yes, you're your children's protectors and you're a gatekeeper. You are not a jailer. You are not somebody who is hyper controlling and limiting what they're going to turn into. There are clear distinctions of this. I've talked about this plenty of times in past episodes. I'm hitting it on the head here because I think our media and current social attitude can really put fear in people's place. And that's not what I want to do. And I thought about this the other day because it's like, I don't want to create fearful parents with my messaging. May it never be. I want stalwart, bold, engaging, adventurous families who really take this charge of raising their kids and engaging the world with gusto and do it well. I want people to see your family come. It's like, oh man, there's the Smiths. They are amazing. Watch their kids and listen to them. Their kids can have an adult conversation with people. They seem wise beyond their years. Well, why are those things? Because you don't put them in the little cute bubble that just like nothing can penetrate, including anything in their head or their heart. They just stay children forever. That's why we have this epidemic of 20, 30, 40, sometimes 15-year-old children in adult bodies who have not the ability to handle or deal with anything. They come upon things and they're still in that very juvenile mindset of reaction, overreaction, and even conversation. It's a weird thing, and that's not what I want you to be. So, restating the obvious, blindness and fear are both failures of leadership. Both ends of the spectrum between normalcy bias and paranoia, bad, okay? Somewhere in the middle on this ever flexing spectrum of circumstance is really where you want to find yourself. At times, should you be really vigilant and aware of what's going on? Sure. Should you live there? No. At other times, should you be able to relax and like, all is well, life is good, we're in a very safe place, let us relax and enjoy ourselves? Absolutely yes. Is that 100% of the time? Probably not. No, because why? The world is out there, okay? And is the world a forever nefarious and dangerous place? No. Are there elements of that are growing more and more progressively worse? There are. Don't let that control you, right? Live in reality. Develop the eyes and ears to understand what is going on before you and teach your children to do that just like you can. Because we want awareness with action and clarity with calm, okay? Hyper overreaction or muted underreaction, bad. Hyper overreaction or muted underreaction are really less than ideal across the board, no matter what you're doing. So here's 3 practices, 3 habits. They're pretty simple and they can combat both normalcy bias and paranoia/helicopter parenting, which nobody wants to be one of those. The clarity of understanding and awareness. I always start here because it's the foundation for everything else we do. Spotting silent threats, understanding what those threats can be, understanding signs and what to look for, going through the threat checklist that we've provided in other areas. In our digital discernment course, we go through this incessantly because I'm giving you the tools and the understanding in that course to look at these things with clear eyes and understand, here are some signs and some tells of what can be happening, what to look for in our children in conversation, in physical signs sometimes, and understand clearly the signs of what's going on before your eyes. Clarity turns into actions. Actions are systems and boundaries, plans and truth combined to actually enable you to teach and protect your children and your entire family. These are device audits and app audits, having tech understandings and zones, family rhythms, healthy family conversations, boundaries, clear-headed conversations with your children on what they're engaging with, how they're engaging it, and what can be done about it, what they need to recognize and what they don't. Also, putting boundaries on what you are doing and what you are allowing them to do and replacing it many times with better things, because what your children are ultimately searching for is connection, and most of the time it's connection with you. And the ability to have clarity and have clear actions lead to a sense of calm, ready peace within your home. You want to model confidence, planning, clear-headed thinking for your children because they mirror your peace and your attitude, your words, and your actions, not anyone else's. They model what you do. Apples and trees, moms and dads. What you don't want them to model is your panic, your anxiousness, and your overreaction. Or you also don't want them to model your complacency, where anything can happen and does to them, and then you're shocked and surprised when the world exists before you. There are plenty of stories about these things. One of them is my friend Kern of the Commonplace. I will put a link to her podcast and her YouTube page down here, but Autumn was out with her children in a park they go to all the time. And an individual, she uses the term tricky people or tricky men. I love it because it's completely great and appropriate. Well done, Autumn. A man literally approached her and her children, and she was letting her children play, as they tend to do outside and as God made them, and they should. This individual is trying to separate her from her children. And Autumn did an awesome job. And this is before she ever met me. She had thought through these things, and she had code phrases, code words, and she uses a whistle, which I think is great. And she and her children were able to disengage from the man. And she had little short people, about 5, I think, during this time. And they made their way through their park to her car safely because she had already had thoughts and plans. She responded calmly. She had already rehearsed these things with her kids. And she did a great job. This is a model of what can happen and can be planned for. Well done, Autumn. As always, 2 big thumbs up. On the other hand, I have had clients, and this is a combination of some real world studies for some kids that I've had to go find and investigate and figure out what in the world happened to them. A couple of these literally have jumped out of windows, out of their home at 2 a.m. and disappeared into the ether until we were able to track them down successfully. So their kids, literally, because they were so nervous and scared of their parents because their parents had locked them down to the point where they couldn't move. And these were 16, 17-year-old kids. Yes, they're still kids, but what are they turning into? Well, they're damn near at adulthood where they could sign up in the military and go die for their country, or, whatever. They could move out of the house and go get a job and be, productive part of society, or not. They jump out of a window, and I'm combining a few stories here to protect the innocents involved, because this is a more common scenario than not. And they bought burner phones. You know what a burner phone is? You can go to Walmart and Walgreens and drugstores, and you can buy these phones, and they're prepaid, and they're not connected to anything that anybody knows about. And they've got tons of spyware and malware on there, but who cares? Because you know what you can use a burner phone to do? You can text, you can call, you can communicate. Nobody will ever know if they don't know you have that phone. And that's how they connected with these individuals. Every single time that they met online or they had inappropriate relationships with, and they were hiding that fact from their parents, and they were groomed, they were manipulated, they were coerced to the point where they willingly, on their own volition, jumped out of a window to get away from their mom and dad and their home and get in a car with a complete and total stranger many times and leave. Did bad things happen? Bad things happened. Okay. Were there consequences? There were consequences. Sometimes were we able to heal those broken bonds with both the parents and the children and get the families back together? We were, but you know what? Only if the kid really wanted it to. And also as important and also sometimes more important, only if the mom and dad actually wanted to make a change to get their children to trust them. Ah, your kid's trusting you. Do we see a theme here in everything we've ever talked about? We do, yes. So, moms and dads, what can you do without either being sleepy and just completely head in the sand, clueless about what's going on in the world, as compared to the other end of the spectrum being a paranoid helicopter tyrant? Yeah, don't do that either. Well, you can take these things seriously and you can look into them and you can take a breath and face these things with calm and and a little bit of steel in your spine, because are some of these things difficult to embrace for some people? They are. But is it worse losing your children on either side of this fence? No. Always deal with tough situations. Your life will be better inevitably. What can you do? Let's talk about this. Well, I've talked about this. I've made an entire course surrounding it. You can do a digital audit of devices and apps this week using the digital discernment course that is free on YouTube. A lot of my people are watching this on YouTube. There's plenty of people listening to the audio version of this. I will stick the link in the show notes for you guys to connect with the digital discernment course that is gratis free on YouTube, as well as the resources that I have made for you guys to freely download off of my website. I don't charge you for any of this because I want to make a massively helpful course for you, not to leave you in fear, not to leave you without any actions that you can do, but to actually give you steps, give you communication capabilities, give you understanding and planning and tools and resources to really take back your home. So instead of hyper focusing and living in paranoid fear, or being completely asleep and just letting your kids play Roblox with any 40-year-old pervert that gets on there is trying to manipulate them, and that's where they are, among other places. I want you to be in that healthy middle ground where you're raising good young men and women. Talk to your family, have good conversations with them, have real life conversations. You know, the best conversations I've ever had with young kids, like tweens, that word tweens, like 10, 11, 12-year-olds up to absolutely definitely teenagers. Sometimes during conversations, especially when moms and dads are either hanging back or they've left the room and I have the room, I stop and I tell those kids, listen, I respect you. I'm going to talk about a tough thing here that's a little bit difficult to wrap your head around. All of your questions are valid. Hold till I tell you can have questions, because kids will interrupt you incessantly, some of them if they're allowed to. But what I tell them is, I'm going to talk to you like you're an adult, because that's what you're going to be someday. And at some point, you have to be trusted with making these decisions on your own. And do you know what happens every single times? The room falls silent and eyes get on me and kids sit up a little bit and they really pay attention to what I have to say. You know why? Most adults don't talk to them like that. Now, I'm not telling you to talk to your children as another adult in every interaction. That's inappropriate because you're still the parent and they're not. But during some big boy, big girl conversations, you want to talk to them as if they're going to have to take these tools from you and make them their own someday. That's the model that we want, okay? So talk to your children. Talk to them about different situations as you're learning them. Again, the digital discernment course goes through tons of these things, okay? And I give you prompts for talking to your family and ideas, things to listen for. I give you answers. I give you real world paths that you can pass on. It's quite good. I encourage you to go there, okay? And as you're doing that, as my friend Autumn did with her young children and medium children, and families should do with their older children, create scenarios and code words like, hey, if I say this, then you will ... I'm introducing the if this then game. It's a great tool. I've used it with every client I've ever had. I've used it with all the protectors that have worked for me and I've trained in the past. Playing out the if this then scenario-based game gives everybody the tools to think through something in a pretty proactive way. If somebody comes up on us in a park and sees you and tries to get your attention and get you away from me, and I say this, or just that situation happens and I'm not around, then you will dot, dot, dot. Gameplay it. That's what you're doing. You're going back and forth with your spouse, your children, a friend, your parent group. Oh, man, this can happen anywhere at any time, and it's a good thing to do. So practice these things. Come up with phrases and code words. Okay, muskrat. Don't use muskrat. It's dumb. But use something that's appropriate to your family in a situation, something that's not a clear red flag to somebody you're talking about, like, hey, we should go check on Charlie. Charlie's our fake dog that we don't have, but all of your kids know that you don't have a fake dog named Charlie, but Charlie is a code word for mom or dad is very uncomfortable with this situation. I am moving to condition orange where I'm very much paying attention to what's going on, and you need to stop everything and either get behind me or whatever it is that you come up with for that situation. Do you see where we're going with this? Good practice here. And at the end of all this and everything that we do as parents who absolutely adore and love our children, ask yourself this question. Am I leading my family, my home, my children from clarity, or am I reacting or overreacting or not reacting due to fear? It's a good question to ask. It's a good gut check, and it's a good placeholder to clarify our mindset. And I use this from time to time too, because we get so up to our nose close to things. It's like, this is the situation. I'm hyper focused on this one thing. Yep, sometimes that's good. Sometimes we need to do it. But it's also really good to every once in a while step back and take a 10,000-foot view of what we're doing, what we're talking about, what we're saying, and look at the big picture. Does this make sense? Am I hyper focusing on something over here and completely missing something over here? Where is this coming from within me? Are my motives clear and pure in this? Or are they being driven and or manipulated by something else, something nefarious, something that's not good for me or my children? Good questions to ask. Gut checks, practices, pauses. Sometimes it's good to take a pause. Look around. Marine buddy I have says, pause, take a breath, look around, make a plan. Do. All right. Basic, basic paradigm for, like, you find yourself in a sticky situation. Sometimes it's good to pause, assess, make a plan, and then good action from there. Don't just react incessantly to each and every situation that presents itself without thinking through it. So to finalize this message, you do not have to be blind or paranoid. You can lead as a protector. You can be the parent that your children so desperately need and want. And I know you can do it because you're here and you're listening to this. You're here with me. You are my people, all right? And people like us act this way. We move from paranoia or sleepiness into a very proactive, calm, proactive model. That's where I want everyone to be. I want you to be protectors, not fear-based soul crushers. Be that parent. Check yourself. Make a list. I love grabbing a piece of paper and writing down thoughts. I think it's very healthy. I think it's a practice that too many people have abandoned in lieu of devices and digital things. Man, writing something down physically on a piece of paper is very good. Okay, it's very tactile and it helps us to organize our thoughts, and it gets things out of your head and onto a piece of paper. And honestly, they've done studies on this. When you clear out your mind by writing something down, it actually clears brain space where you can have a lot more clarity and think through things a lot clearer than you previously were when all you're doing is milling thoughts around in your head without giving them place to have discernment with. So Thank you for watching. This is podcast episode number 9. Hot dog. We're making moves here. So this is the Family Readiness Project. I'm Rick Sigmund. I am your protector, your defender, your evangelist, and your cheerleader here. Because that's really what I want to be. I want to be your guys' cheerleader. I want to be your rah-rah section, encouraging you not to buckle to the designs of the world and the culture and other people. No, I want you to stand for your faith. I want you to be proud that you have a family in this world that is very much against families and children. And I want you to be those families that attack life with just verve and courage and live well. Jesus said, "I did not come to give life, but came to give life lived abundantly." And that's what I want for you all. That's what you can have. And that is absolutely the kind of children that you want to encourage and release unto the world. So, come with me, moms and dads. Be part of this movement. The Family Readiness Project is a movement for people like us. Talk to other families who've never heard this or listened to this. If you get this, if you get my emails from our email list, send this to somebody else. Send this to a good friend. Like, hey, I've got something I'd like you to look at and click on and listen to. That'd be great. Tell a friend that you're in a homeschool group with, or your co-op group with, or your kids' sports teams with. There are some parents who just could care less, and you know who they are. And then there's parents like us who really actually want to make a difference. And a lot of parents like us don't know where to begin. It's just, everything that's going on kind of has them in a little bit of a locked up state mentally, and they just simply don't know where to go and where to go with their questions and their thought processes. That's why I'm doing these podcasts and articles and events. Yes, we're going to have events in the future. That is very exciting. So pass this on to another parent. Give me questions, give me your feedback, give me your pushback. I would love to hear you on this concept and topic of both normalcy bias as well as paranoia and helicopter parenting. Everybody's got a thought and opinion and a story, and I love to hear those. I love hearing from you all. You are fuel to my fire. Your guys' comments and thoughts keep me going, and I really appreciate and respond to everybody I hear from. So thank you for that. And one last time, if you have not yet started or even know about the digital discernment course that I have made for you all, it is a huge course. It is robust. I'm still releasing parts of it. The first half of module 1 is out right now. So depending on what you're listening, where you're listening to this or seeing this, YouTube has a playlist that is the Digital Discernment playlist. There is a page on my website, familyreadinessproject.com, with the entire Digital Discernment course. Resources are linked there. Everything's there for you. So please start that course, engage with it, learn from it, give me your questions, give me some clarity. There's some stuff and platforms that I don't know about. I may not have covered some things in there. And here's the thing, if you connect with me and you tell me these things and I do the research and find out, this is verdad, this is true, I need to add this thing into the course. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add it into the course. And I'm actually going to say, and Sherry, who emailed me from Wichita, Kansas, she's a rock star, and she let me know that this thing is going on as well. And man, I appreciate that, and I'm gonna release it to the world so other parents like me and you can benefit from this. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging with this. Thank you for being a parent who actually wants to make a difference and parent well. Stand tall. Take pride in your faith. Take pride in the God that we serve and understand our place that He has given us in this world. We have a gift of parenthood and we have the gift of children. Let us do our absolute best with that. Let us raise them well. Let us be better parents than we have been. Let us raise the standard and set that standard for our children so that they can be even better parents than us. God bless you and yours, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.